Four games on the MLB slate for Monday. We're going to have sides, totals, analysis, and best bets coming for all four of them here for you. We're going to be breaking down Boston, Toronto, the Giants taking on the D-backs, Phillies, Cubs, and Mariners, Astros. Some playoff implications abound for these games. We'll talk a little series talk as well as we move forward. Final week of the regular season here. We'll look to catch some winners for you on First Pitch. Joining me, the incomparable Drew Martin and Adam Trigger here on a Monday morning for First Pitch. Guys, we have almost as many NFL games on a Monday as we have MLB games here, as the scheduler's doing a terrific job. The doubleheader coming tonight. We got four on the slate here today, but with kind of what happened over the weekend, some of these games become a little bit more intriguing than they may be here in the final week of the season. One of which here, Drew, we'll start with is this Boston and Toronto series, because yes, it's probably all that they wrote for the Boston Red Sox, but they do come into tonight 4 games back behind Kansas City for that final AL wildcard spot. There's 6 games left, so if you're a mathematician, there is a chance. And it sets up nice for them because they're going to be facing a Toronto team. Sure, they're returning home. They just got swept by the Rays. 1-5 total was their road trip. So, Drew, are we saying there's a chance for Boston? Because if it doesn't start here tonight, it may be that they get a series sweep here. Then they feel a little bit better. But it all has to start here tonight. How are you looking to bet this game?
Well, Dan, 1 in 100. How about more like 1 in a million? But you're saying there's a chance here with the Boston Red Sox. No, I'm just kind of joking with a little Dumb and Dumber there. 4 games out, 6 to play. You teed it up pretty well there, Dan. They have won 2 straight, scoring 17 runs the last 2 games. They got Hawk on the hill. He has good numbers against the Blue Jays. And the Jays, schedule spot-wise, this is their first game home off of a, 6-game road trip. And you talked about it. They got swept down in Tampa. They've lost 5 of 6. I actually think the Red Sox are playing better baseball, and they are still alive. 4 out with 6 to play. They're likely not going to make it, but you never know. We've seen crazier things happen. And overall, I think Boston's the side here. I mean, last night, don't have the updated lines right now, but you could get them as high as plus 108. I think it's a little wrong team favored north of the border. One to start us off here with, you also teed up, almost as many football NFL games as MLB games. How the NFL doesn't have back-to-back Monday night football games and instead they load it up at 1 o'clock Eastern, I just don't get. But either way, hey, we got some good baseball coming up, and I think the Red Sox are the side here, Dan.
Yeah, the dual screens will be in full effect. May even have to go triple screen because I'm going to have some eye on some baseball this evening. We got 6:40 starts, 7:07, 8:10, 9:40. Look, somebody knows how to stagger it a little bit better. Take some notes there, NFL. But yeah, so we're looking towards the Boston Red Sox. Nice plus money prices. They're going to be on the road. That's probably going to be evaporating sooner rather than later because I'm not sure who exactly wants to be back in Toronto when you have everything else going tonight. Trig, I'm intrigued for your breakdown because maybe 3 will be the magic number for the Phils because it's been 1 for 2 days. So it's going to be take 3 for the Phillies clinching their first NL East title in 13 years. They tried Saturday, 6-3 loss. They sent Wheeler to the mound yesterday. He throws a peach and they lose 2-1. So now they're sending Nola. Now it's the Cubbies. Price says that the Phils are going to be able to get it done. Are they going to be partying here tonight as they're taking on the Cubs in South Philadelphia, or Cubs going to make them wait another day? How are you betting this one, Trig?
Yeah, I think they'll get it here. And Dan, this is down to like this is minus 170, minus 175, probably, between that 170 and 180 range, which I think is about 40 to 50 cents off. Like if you take into consideration the spot where the Cubs are at after last week, the Phillies at home, Dan, 52-26 at Citizens Bank Park this season, just an incredible year at home. I got to be honest, I didn't have that off the top of my head. That they have not won the NL East since 2011. I guess, where does the time go? Doesn't seem like that long ago, but yeah, 13 seasons since they've won the division. So That's got to be important. And I do think it's important to get it done here for no reason other than you're at home. You've had 2 chances to do it already. And now you've got Aaron Nola on the mound, which is, I feel like he needs this one. Hasn't really pitched well the last couple times out, but he's one of he's one of your top pitchers, one of the best pitchers in the history of the franchise, really, in terms of like what he's done there and the longevity he's had there. So I do think it's, even though they're probably going to get it at some point, Dan, like it's kind of important to get it done and get it done here. And I think they'll absolutely do that. Something I think is another, good bet potentially if you don't want to lay minus 170. I typically don't like this market because I think there's an element of randomness to it, but Nola to record the win kind of feels right here because I think it's important that he pitches well. And I think the Phillies will want to get him this win, clinch it. Like it just feels right for no other reason. That kind of feels right. I typically don't like that market, but in this case, I would give it a look. But on a limited board, I think you have to. This is the best value I see right here. Minus 175 is low. Like I said, if you take into consideration where the Cubs are at right now, Dan, they played their way all the way back into the postseason race. Okay, they had it on a platter for them. 7 home games against the A's and the Nationals, and they went 4-3. And the Mets did them no favors, right? The Mets just kept winning. So you had to run the table in that 7-game stretch where you're favored every game at home against the A's and Nationals. 4-3 is not going to cut it. And then, like I said, the Mets won 7 games back. Cubs season is over. I guess they could still finish above 500. But if you go back to the beginning of the season, guys, the goal for this Cubs team was to win this division. I think they were like co-favorites coming into the year to win the division. This team with Counsell at the helm was supposed to get to the playoffs. At least that was the goal. So that's crushing that it now has come to an end. I think you're going to see like the Cubs B pitching staff here. It's going to, it looks like Nate Pearson's going to start. He's an opener. They'll probably go to Wenisensky for a little bit. No one that I think the Phillies offense is going to have any trouble with here. So, and then if you're the Phillies, you're coming off back-to-back losses. They definitely have the top bullpen arms. I think this is the day they'll use them, and then they'll just spread it out the rest of the week. So when you consider the spot the Cubs are in, which is season is now over, and the spot the Phillies are in can clinch their first division title since 2011 with Nola on the mound, who kind of needs something good to happen. It's like a no-brainer to take the Phillies here, and I think the price is probably like 40 cents off.
I'll tell you what, 13 years, if it does finally get done, the fade will be real on the Phillies, because if there's one thing that they know how to do, it is how to party in that clubhouse. So I'm sure that they want to get it done sooner rather than later so they can pop some bottles, get that out of their system before, priming for the postseason potential push for the Philadelphia Phillies there. Trig says it's happening tonight. Don't be scared off by the price. Lay it with the Phils, as our man Adam Trigger. WT.buzz/AT is where you can find him. We'll find out what he has rocking. Believe he's got a 5%er for the folks going tonight. Drew, over at your page, what do you have posted? We got some great deals going. WT.buzz/deals is where you can find those, or at your cappers pages in the case of Drew, WT.buzz/DM. But man, with 4 games, no reason in making the people wait, right? Let them know what's over at your page and let them know what we got for the free best bet today. You're looking towards this Giants and D-backs game. Man, for the D-backs, 8 runs didn't matter, right? 8-run lead. They end up losing 10-9. But for total bettors, especially over bettors, both teams could hit the over by themselves. You think that could potentially be what we're seeing here again? I think this total's sitting around 9. So best bet on the total for the folks here. And what do you got rocking over at your page for this short slate?
Sure, Dan. Yeah, got a best bet up and available. It's just $15 at WagerTalk.com. Drew Martin. It's been a nice run, plus 34% profit since early July. MLB sides there, Dan. So just kind of grinding away in the summer MLB markets and just trying to find as many winners as possible, guys, and not afraid to jump on some dogs. So yeah, go check that out, WagerTalk.com. But for the best bet for the show, Dan, we're heading to the desert here. We get the Giants and the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, playing some important baseball down the stretch. It does look, it is down to 4 teams for 3 spots, guys, in the NL wildcard race. It's the Padres 4 games up, likely in. Then it's the Diamondbacks and the Mets tied for that last spot, and the Braves kind of just 2 games back. So somebody's going to be left out here. I don't think it will be Arizona, Dan. They're a pretty good team. I mean, 87 wins on the season. Schedule spot, I don't love it. First game back after the road trip, but they have won 4 of their last 5 games. They got Eduardo Rodriguez on the hill. He's got over a 5 ERA on the season. And when you kind of break down his game logs, which I think is probably the most important part of handicapping these pitchers, is how they're doing against kind of the better lineups that have kind of, and they've gotten after them. And it's not that the Giants are one of the better lineups in MLB, but against lefties, they do have a little lefty-righty dichotomy here. And they have been better against lefties, maybe not so recently, but they're the number 12 team by weighted runs created plus against southpaws. They have Hayden Birdsong on the hill, the Giants do. He's been mostly good, but he did have 5 free passes against this Diamondbacks lineup facing them last time. We're in division, so there's a lot of kind of repetition in seeing these same pitchers. I think that's an advantage towards the lineup, guys. I think both of these 2 lineups get after it. I mean, this Arizona lineup has been hot. You go over the last 2 weeks, runs created plus. This is the hottest lineup in baseball. So we do get a 9 as a total here. I think we get into the double digits, Dan. I really do. By my numbers, these are both bottom 10 bullpens. I mean, if you're looking for a weakness for the Diamondbacks, it's that back end of the the bullpen, excuse me. So the later innings, we might get some crooked numbers as well. I think Giants, Diamondbacks, kind of that, short slate, but degenerate special feel, 9:40 Eastern. I think we get some runs here, Dan. Let's go up and over for the best bet in the Diamondbacks and the Giants.
Yeah, once your long shot parlays aren't cashing in your double slate for NFL, you can head on over 9:40 start. Drew saying, hey, don't worry, under might be juiced to minus 120. That just gives us a better price on going with the over, seeing double digits between the Giants and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Check out his best bet over at his page, wt.buzz/DM. Right now, we're going to hit some of these questions after we hear Adam Trigger's best bet. Trig, you have a best bet up for the clients as well on the gridiron, a little NFL Monday Night Football 5%er rocking tonight. Tell the folks about that and let us know how we're betting this Mariners and Astros game. We talked about the Phillies poised to be clinching their division, while the Astros are also poised to do the same. However, it hasn't been 13 years for them. It's been a few months for them as they're looking for their 4th straight division title as they're taking on the Mariners, whose hopes, just like the Red Sox, fleeting, probably. I mean, you're looking at razor-thin margin for them to be dancing in October. So an interesting handicap here. How are you looking to bet it, and how can folks partner up with you over at WagerTalk?
Yeah, so first, only client play for me on Monday goes in the NFL. 5% NFL max bet. 2-1 so far already on the NFL week. So we'll look to get it home with a winning week tonight. Play I love. 5% play. That's up now on my page. As far as MLB is concerned, I don't have a client play tonight. I had a really nice run going last week. I think I had three winners in a row going into Sunday. Dan, of course, I was on the Mariners, who I've been making a case for sort of like, as the team that's going to come back and play their way into the playoffs because they finally got some offense going. And they did the unspeakable yesterday. Blew a 5-0 lead in the they had a 5-0 lead going into the 6th inning. They ended up losing 6-5 to the Rangers in a game where, like you said, you queued it up. They had to win that game. Like it was just a must-win spot. And so for them to kind of, just like lose in that fashion makes it a little bit tougher for me to come back with them here. But there's a lot to unpack in this game. So let's start with the line move. I was going to make a case for Mariners +1. But now it looks like it's moved about 20 cents. I think that has to do with the fact that Yordan Alvarez left yesterday's game, and he's probably not playing tonight. Alvarez is by far the best player on this Astros team. That's something that I think gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, Dan. He's not one of their best players. Alvarez is by far their best player, and has been for a couple months now. I can just about guarantee he's not going to play here. It's a knee bruise. He's probably fine long term, but they're 100% going to give him the day off. So that's probably the reason that, since I texted you that this was going to be the game that I wanted to break down, that this line has moved 20 cents. So I do think the opportunity to maybe take +1 is gone. But based on that being the case, I still think the Mariners do have some value at plus money here. I think you can probably still get +120, +125. And again, you got to trust that they can pick themselves off, dust themselves off from just a brutal loss yesterday. But they're still only 2 games back. So they still have everything to play for, a whole week of games to make up 2 games. It's definitely doable, but you got to win here. And Bryce Miller's definitely a guy that can do it. He's someone that he's been the one guy that I've liked the most in what's a very good starting rotation. So the Mariners, like, my whole reason for liking this team is the pitching is so elite that I thought if they could figure out a way to just kind of like muster up some offense, that they had a really good shot to make a run and potentially get in the playoffs. They've kind of done that. 21 runs last 3 games in the Rangers series. They really should have won yesterday. So again, just like a tough loss for them. But if they're going to score even like 4 or 5 runs a game, they're going to have chances to win all of these games. Bryce Miller's a stud. He gives them an opportunity to do that. 3.18 ERA, Dan, in 5 career starts against the Astros. He should pitch just fine again here. Now, on the other side, you've got Hunter Brown, who's been awesome. Like, last 3 months, he's been as good as any starting pitcher in baseball. His numbers against the Mariners are fantastic. 1.65 ERA in 3 starts against the Mariners this season. So he's been lights out as well. This series, so the Mariners are 6-4 against the Astros this year. The series has been all low scoring games, which is why I was going to come and make a case for the +1 20 cents ago, 30 cents ago, when this morning it was Mariners +135, +140, and the +1.5 was a little cheaper. You could have played it equally and got yourself a +1 around -130. Now that that's moved, it's a little bit more expensive to do that. I still don't hate that as an option, but under 7.5 has to get a look as well. Combined in this series through 10 games so far, Dan, these teams are, I believe, hitting under 200 against each other. And now you take Yordan Alvarez out of the lineup for the Astros. He's easily like their biggest offensive threat. So I still like the Mariners here at plus money. I still think you could do the split thing, half run line, half money line, to give yourself a +1. But knowing Yordan is almost definitely out here, definitely makes under 7.5 a reasonable look as well. I think you've got yourself something like a 3-2 game either way. And so that's kind of how I'm seeing it, Mariners Astros tonight.
Great breakdown, side and total for you from our man Adam Trigger there. Guys, before we get out of here, shout out to those joining us live. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe. The little bell will get you notified when we go live, when we're posting our single game videos as well, our series, our flagship shows like Bet On It, like the Presidential Address. Yes, I just called that a flagship show. But yeah, you can get notified by following that. And if you're checking us out here on Twitter, on X, on TikTok, hit that follow button and we'll stay right there in your timeline. Before we get out of here, though, guys, Durko asking, does he have anything he can sweat alongside you? He says, any futures bets either of you guys are sweating out as the regular season wind down? What he needs, got 6 games for the Pirates to get 2 more wins for the team total to go over. So best of luck, Durko. Are yours guys dead? Drew, did you bet any preseason futures? I know Trig, he was hoping for a solid series from the Cubbies, but anything that you're sweating here down the stretch, Drew?
Dan, I don't have like anything of note to throw out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say, some of these, like what you can get down on some division futures right now, it does sound a little bit interesting. It's something I got to take a look at. I hate to kind of plead the fifth here, man, but to be quick with it, I got you. I really don't. I'm going day to day at this point. I'm with you, especially down the stretch. If you don't have them already,
some of the best numbers are gone, even if you're looking for, hey, who's going to end up, getting the NL pennant, who's going to be ending up getting the AL pennant. It's simply not the way that I personally bet. Even if it's a couple weeks, I don't want to just give my money to the books to hold on to for safekeeping. I'd rather find some plus money dogs on the board. I'd rather find more like that. But I know, Trig, you've been sweating all year long. Did any of yours die? Are any of them still alive? Some of these futures that you have in your ticket?
Oh, well, I mean, if the Padres win the World Series, I'll do just fine with the future stuff. That was one, like, that's
We're big Padres.
That's one that I've said this for going on like 3 months now, that I felt like they were the best team in the National League. So all will be forgiven. Like, the Cubs, like I'm going to lose, like the Cubs, I'll absolutely lose money on the Cubs, with some of the way I played them prior to the season. But the Padres win, like if they win the NL or the World Series, I'll be good. That's really sort of the main one. I have the only one that I will still have live going into the playoffs. If I have to say this, if I was going to add something now, like right now, just if you wanted to just take like a little bit of a flyer with something, I would throw something on the Mariners to win the AL, to win the World Series, and even to get to the playoffs. Like I think not division winner, because they're probably not going to get that, but I'm just pulling up odds as we speak. Right now, I mean, the Mariners to make the playoffs is 12-1. Okay. Like after yesterday's loss, it is so much more unlikely that that's going to happen. But you talk about, if you've watched the way the Twins have played baseball the last month, like you know what I mean? Like you're looking at this wild card race. You have right now, the season ended today. It's the Orioles are in, it's Tigers and Royals are 82-74. Okay. The Royals have really not played great baseball. They've kind of like, they've kind of, I believe they're 2-8. I think they've lost 7 in a row, right? Like they were in there and now they're not. I mean, they've got a 7-game losing streak. The Twins have lost back-to-back games, and the Twins find ways to lose games. Like they just invent new ways to lose games. Baldelli's just doing whatever the hell he pleases with the pitching, the relief. It's been bad at times. So you have right now, you have a week left, which means the Mariners need to make up 2 games in the coming week to get in there. I don't think they have the tiebreaker against the Twins. I'm not sure what their situation is tiebreaker wise with the Tigers and the Royals, but let's put it this way: 2 games back. Royals keep finding ways to lose games. The Tigers have been hot, but you're only as good as your last game, right? Like there's nothing to say they can't come out and lose a couple this week. Like, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. And then you've got the Twins who, like I said, they keep kind of playing their way out of it. So if the Mariners can win tonight, I just told you Yordan Alvarez is probably out. That's huge for the Astros. 20-cent move toward the Mariners. This was plus 138 before I got on the show. It's now plus 118. They shouldn't be 12-1. Like you definitely have some value making the playoffs there at 12-1. And then this is what I've been saying about this team for a while. If they can get in, if you can get that team into the playoffs, you have all sorts of pitching options. Bryce Miller, Wu has been good. Gilbert's been awesome. Like who wants to face those guys in a best 2 out of 3, right? Like that type of starting pitching. Munoz at the back end, or in the high leverage situations in that bullpen. So you keep it small, right? But what do you even have to put on that? Like what the odds are astronomical on them to win the World Series. They're going to be pretty big to win the AL, and they're 12-1 just to make the playoffs. So that's your bet right now. If you want to just throw something in today, that's the bet.
Up below in the comments, let us know what you think about that hot take here from our man Adam Trigger. Looking at the Detroit Tigers. I mean, it's fair here towards the final stretch. You can also, I have a Venmo account at Newbie Talks. If you want to Venmo me, I'll gladly check that one out there for you. But I'm just looking here, Trig, at the final part for you mentioned the Detroit Tigers being just as good as their last game. End up beating the Baltimore Orioles, and then the final stretch for them, you got Tampa Bay, you got your Chicago White Sox there. So it looks to be a potential solid end up to the season for them. But hop below in the comments and let us know what futures you're potentially eyeing. Again, it's not something that Drew and I really dabble into, but if you have any questions for Trig, check him out on Twitter at AdamTriggerWT. You can find him on TikTok using that same handle, AdamTriggerWT. So check him out over there. Big thanks for tuning in on the short slate. Don't worry, 15 baseball games tomorrow. We'll have a full card to break down for you on Tuesday's edition. Until then, folks, best of luck. Cash those tickets. Don't go anywhere, though. You can check out the video on your screen right now. Keep getting all that info you need to cash on the sports you love. And 30 minutes from now, Wager Talk today, talking that football doubleheader, some college football Saturday look-ahead spots with Ross Benjamin, with Brian Power. Of course, the Prez and Teddy Covers giving you a breakdown, a big game breakdown coming in the Bengals and the Commanders game. So best of luck, folks, tonight. Make sure you manage those bankrolls. We'll see you back here Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. on the West Coast. We'll see you then, folks. Until then, best of luck.